All right, happy Friday. What's up, Christopher? I'm just gonna be making some motion comics. I kind of got into doing it past couple days, taking some panels from my upcoming graphic novel and just making little motion panels. So I'm gonna pick out a page and maybe do one or two or three motion panels. Because I'm all out of storyboarding stuff to do. I finished the forming pilot storyboards. I can't animate on Jesus 2 right now because I'm waiting to see if I can snag this voice actor. So I'm waiting to hear back from his manager. So I don't have really anything to do except maybe make some motion comics. There's a few other things I could do, but why not do something I'm kind of excited about, you know? Start doing these, so let's pick out a page, a panel. Let's see what we get. Let's go a little bit further down into the later pages. So let's move this over here. Move this over here. And just something pops out to me, like something I'd want to do. We'll start working on it. Let me get rid of this ad so you can see the art. All right, keep going. Oh, you know what I thought about? I could try to do this one. It'll be a challenge. Let's try it. Maybe I could try to do the whole page. That might fit in a vertical, you know? Now let's just do one panel. Why am I trying to kill myself? You know? Alright. Alright, let's do this one. Wonder if I can do these water shapes too, maybe. We'll see. I'm just trying to think like vertically. Maybe I'll do 2 panels. So it's more like a square. It might fit better in a Instagram. All right. So then here's what I do. So we do a little paint over. Of all the black lines. A cloud moving by? Yeah, maybe. Oops. Let me think about this. Oh no, I'm gonna paint over. Okay. Pop-up might be an easy addition, a cloud moving by or something. Let me see what you're saying. Just raise the panel and finish the sky so that it's a little bit more to the ratio of Instagram. Yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah, I'm just making more panels because I've got nothing else to do right now. Just sort of waiting on things. Might as well make some more book promo stuff while I have the time. You know what I mean? What's up, Monkey Moods? What's up, Dead Man's Diary? Okay. Should finish the lines for scene, then I got 2 more scenes to finish up. You basically have an unlimited content for your IG. Cool to see how these panels are animated. Now it's a real Friday night. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Go out and hang out with people? Or stay in and watch Twitch, you know? What else am I gonna do? It's time to Twitch, baby. Or YouTube stream, depending on what platform you're using. So basically I'm making all these lines invisible because I'm going to create new lines that are going to boil. So it brings the image to life. Thanks. This was one of the first pages I did after starting volume 3. Drawing the water was really challenging. Every time I draw water, I feel like I'm learning how to draw water for the first time. I just have to look at like pictures of water, and especially in swimming pools, and try to like, and waves and stuff in the ocean, try to figure out like how that shit works. It's like pretty, the volumes are like really challenging. Sometimes it's similar to drawing mountains, actually. If you actually want to draw realistic volumes on mountains, you can't just draw spiky peaks, you know, you have to like figure out how the shapes are working in 3 dimensions and where the shadows hit and the light hits in a way that you know, like starts to sculpt out the shapes of the hills and jagged rocks. It's pretty hard actually to draw convincing mountains. I mean, it's not hard to draw convincing mountains because you can draw the mountains symbolically, but it's hard to draw like actually like good looking mountains. Are you animating on Photoshop? Yes, I'm animating in Photoshop, and because I drew these pages, I didn't draw these pages in Photoshop, I scanned them in Photoshop. So I'm just going to animate the files where they are. But boy, do I hate animating in Photoshop. Oh my god, it's a fucking stupid animation program. Truly badly designed. And like when you export it, it doesn't export at the correct speed and stuff like that, so you kind of have to just keep exporting and adjusting the timing until it hits right. It's really weird. At least in my experience. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. That could be also the problem. Yeah, it sucks. Okay, so I'm not crazy. I know like a lot of people have said. I don't even know how to use the video timeline. I just use the one that's like everything's on the same timing layer. There's like 2 ways to animate in Photoshop. But for making little GIFs or GIFs or however you want to say it, like it's not You can kind of tolerate how shitty Photoshop is just to get it done. So a thing like this where I only need 3 to 6 frames of animation, you can kind of just do it, you know? What's the method where people draw frames on paper and flick through them? Flipbook? So all I'm gonna do is animate a blink and a boil and try to just bring this panel to life. So I'm just prepping it right now for the process. Oh, Pen, I wanted to talk to you about my transcendental meditation story. I have a story about visiting a transcendental meditation guy when I was in my early 20s. I was probably like 23 or 22. So this was let me turn this music down in my ears. So I think I was like 22, 23, something like that. And I remember, who told us this? Something we read somewhere that there were people who were meditating and able to levitate, and or people in the transcendental meditation community who were claiming to be able to levitate. And so I must have been like 20, I must have been like 21 or 20, because my friend Brandon hadn't moved to Philadelphia yet. And so we were like, okay, let's get in touch with someone transcendental meditation guy and see, and then scope it out. So myself, my brother, our friend Sharif, who is now, his name is Jahan, we went to we called this guy up in New Jersey. How many frames of boil would I do? Three frames of boil. So we found this transcendental meditation guy. He's like, come to my house, I'll give you a free introduction to transcendental meditation. So we went to this guy's house in New Jersey. I think he was in New Jersey. Me, my brother, and Sharif. We go to this guy's house. This was probably in 1999 or something like that, or 2000. And he starts telling us like all the ways in which doing transcendental meditation would like benefit our lives, you know? And we're just sitting there being like, okay, we want to ask this guy, can you levitate? You know, that was what we were actually interested in. And we're sort of skirting around the subject for a little bit, and then he's like, okay, before we go any further, I just want you to watch this video. So he takes out a video cassette, like a VHS cassette, and we're like, what is this? And he puts in the VHS cassette, in his TV. And he starts playing for us basically a infomercial for how transcendental meditation will make you better at business. And I don't know why he thought we would be interested in that. We were in our early 20s. So we watched the video, and I'm just sitting there being like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would this guy not read the room and just show us a video on how to be better at business? By using transcendental meditation. So then at the end, after he shows the video, he's like, do you guys have any questions? And I forget who brought it. It might have been my friend Sharif. And he was like, okay, we're just going to cut to the chase. I just want to know, can you levitate? Or is it possible to learn how to levitate using transcendental meditation? And I don't remember exactly what he said in response. But he said something along the lines of, he was like, I'm not going to say you can't levitate using transcendental meditation. So he kind of left it like an open door, you know? But at that point I was like, fuck this guy. And fuck transcendental meditation. So that was my experience with transcendental meditation. But you know, that's just one guy. But he really turned me off to it felt like multi-level marketing, you know? And I love David Lynch, but maybe David Lynch really I don't know. Maybe, you know, sometimes really famous people get treated differently by these organizations. Quite often, actually. My dad started doing transcendental meditation, though. But the all-knowingness is out there. It might be, I don't know how you find it. I mean, I had my one experience when I was doing an extended amount of Kundalini meditation, heavy breathwork stuff, and I started hallucinating. I started having like visions and stuff like that, like where I was like a golden caterpillar hatching out of a golden egg. So I had that experience from doing Kundalini, but Kundalini is can be pretty, it's like basically like taking psychedelic drugs. So you kind of have to be, there's this thing called Kundalini psychosis that people get sometimes if they do it too much. So it can be pretty dangerous actually. So that's kind of why I stopped doing it. Felt like I was getting too close to the flame. I don't know if I'm equipped to have like a complete mental breakthrough, like to the other side of the veil or whatever. I might not be able to like take it because I think I'm like too much of a control freak. I was gonna bring up Lynch. I don't know why TM people always have to insist that it's the one true form of meditation. Yeah, I don't know. They just like, you know, figure out their systems and they're like, it's like when people say keto is the answer to everything or whatever, you know? Or intermittent fasting or whatever. Let's work on the other panel here. You brought up the other control freak a few times, but I've yet to see it. Yeah, well, my version of being a control freak is all internal. It's like it's sort of like well, for example, like I can't handle like I have a really hard time when people argue politics on my Discord. So that's sort of like one. That's sort of my one. If you can see like me being sort of a control freak or whatever, because I'm trying to like. I'm trying to maintain a vibe and live my life, you know, like I'm just trying to live a peaceful existence as much as I can, and my like homeostasis is so kind of delicate in a lot of ways, so I kind of have to control the vibe in my environment or else I just sort of crash out, you know. So that's one thing, that's one way. I don't know, I feel like when things like when I work on a commercial project or something and people tell me, they tell me what's, they're like, oh, I want you to do your art for this commercial or whatever, and then I'm like, okay, and then they start telling me to change the way I draw and stuff like that, and then I start having like an internal meltdown because I need the money, but I'm being told to be different than who I am, kind of. Does that make sense? So that's sort of me being sort of like inwardly inflexible. I did Kundalini meditation when I was 16. I think I've been 20% disassociated from reality ever since. Yeah. Am I painting a cover right now? No, I'm making a little motion comic panel, or 2 motion comic panels. I'm just taking a page from my comic and I'm gonna make a little boil to make that characters look more alive. To promote my book. making little promo images, I guess. And it's kind of fun. I saw Alex Grigg made a YouTube video about it, about doing this with your illustrations, and I was like, that seems like a kind of a good idea, actually. It's like sort of like a easy way to, or semi-easy way to bring your paintings to life. Just create a little moment caught in time somewhere between comics and animation. Yeah, I feel like I'm somewhat disassociated all the time, man. That's just like a survival mechanism, I think. The control freak thing, I always associate it with I really feel like I'm spiritually aligned with Alex Honnold, the free climber. Not that I free climb, but that he sort of like has determined what he does with his life and doesn't like to do anything else. And he sort of controls the narrative around his life. Because he has sort of like zero tolerance for anything else. And I'm like all about that. And sometimes I wish I wasn't all about that all the time, you know what I mean? I wish I had more. I'd like to be more like, have more neuroplasticity and be more like flexible and willing to improvise in the moment with friends and people or whoever. So that's why I say that I'm a control freak, I guess, because I'm trying to like create the world, my world that I live in, and really curate my life in a way that's I don't know, that like works towards my goals, I guess. Alex Honnold, he's a free climber. There's a documentary about him called Free Solo. That's really good. Do you think you're on the spectrum? I took like a $3,000 test to see if I was on the spectrum. Because my girlfriend at the time wanted to know. She was like, I need to know if you're autistic. So I was like, fair enough. So I went and got like to a psychologist and got tested. And the test was sort of like, it was like a 2-day, I had to go back for 2 days to do this test. And I feel like it was inconclusive. Like, I think she was like a little bit afraid to diagnose me with anything, but she said maybe mild Asperger's, but it's not conclusive. So in my mind, I'm just like, all right, I had a Japanese mom. I had a strict Japanese mom. I think that's what happened. And that's why I am the way I am. It was helpful for my girlfriend at the time to hear that I had Asperger's, but because she was like, okay, now I can blame it on Asperger's. uh my like constant disassociation and stuff. And my inability to just like go along with stuff. So, but I feel like that's just like being Japanese. Like not expressing your emotions and being really like careful about how you express yourself. I mean, I'm saying, I mean, you might have Asperger's, Bafano, but I just don't think I do. I think I'm just what do you call it? Introspective, and I grew up in a family where emotional language was like more implied. That's not totally true, but you know what I mean? Like I learned how to communicate subtly through, rather than being like, hey, oh, what's up? What's up, girl? Whatever. You're so great, or whatever. I was just like, grew up in a household that had like insanely high standards. And you didn't get complimented unless you did something great. So that's not totally true. It's more like, yeah, you had to show character in order to get a compliment. I don't know. My mom just had like really high standards. So I think I'm just influenced by that. And I like over time I've like tried to loosen up and be more emotive and expressive, but I don't know. In Japan, people don't like say how they feel until they have a heart attack. And they speak in sort of like a philosophical way when talking about feelings, rather than in such a like direct American way. I don't know. So that shit just like kind of rubbed off on me. So I think that's why I am the way I am. I love being influenced by, you know, being American, and I like the direct way in which Americans communicate emotions, and the sort of like rah 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 aspect to American culture. I really like, but I've just got this other side of me that sort of holds me back. That's more like reserved, I guess. Americans, if you do anything at all, they're like, haha, so awesome, cowabunga, dude. Yeah, pretty much. And that's like I would say that's like a positive attribute of Americans in a lot of ways, but it's just hard to sometimes emotionally, there's an emotional expectation in America to be like that, and if you're not like that, they think you don't like them or something, you know. So there's like a cultural norm of this, what I call in like comedy improv, they call it yes-anding. And I think like yes-anding is really strong in America and is sort of expected. And I don't do that. Yeah, they have a monotone voice. Yeah. It's tough. I think sometimes I feel like that's why I've had a hard time when I'm pitching shows and stuff like that. So I'm so monotone. Yeah, sometimes enjoyment and appreciation doesn't have to mean that you have to be like outwardly showing it, you know, outwardly smiling and things like that. That's why I like that Alex Honnold documentary, because he's got such a deep appreciation for climbing. But he shows it by being intense. You know, he shows his enthusiasm and love for something by being just like intensely focused. And I think that's like the way I show appreciation for something. But what, you know, I watched this video, I've probably talked about this before, but I watched this video called Neutral Face or something like that. It was a study done on babies where they had the baby's parents like look into the eyes of their baby and not express any sort of like facial emotion. And the babies just start, within 10 seconds, the baby just starts crying if you don't smile or frown. They don't know, they become like untethered and they don't know how they're supposed to feel or how you feel about them. And it makes them feel like unsafe, basically, right? So, or it stresses them out. So I saw that video and I was like, oh, okay, so like me not emoting actually like will make someone feel, can make someone feel like extremely uncomfortable and like ungrounded, basically. Like they're just floating in the ether without any reference point to like how they should, if they should be safe or afraid or whatever. So after I saw that video, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to like smile at people more. Smiling is hard, yeah. I mean, it takes all kinds of people, you know, in the world. That's why I think, like, wait, why can't I be like reserved and not smile all the time? Why does that, you know, like I have to put up I have to put up with extroverted people who are like up in my face and shit. You know? Like, I gotta put up with you being all super extra. So why can't you put up with me not giving you much visual feedback? I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, because I give other stuff, you know what I mean? I'm given other things that's just like not cultural norm stuff, I guess, when it comes to socializing. I feel like I'm contributing to society in my own way. Forcing myself to be more hyper drained me for weeks. I can't do that anymore. If people like me, they like me, but forcing emotions is so draining. Yeah, I used to have like post-it notes on my wall to like remind me to smile more. And make eye contact. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with those things. Like, I think smiling and making eye contact is what we call it. It's a very social thing to do. When I do express myself, I often do in crazy fashion. I think there's a thing about being extroverted. It's like people who are really, really good at like not draining other people's batteries, but being like, you know, extroverted at the same time. That's like, I think that's what I think that's Riz. Right? That's like having Riz. Gregarious? Gregarious? Is that the word? Being gregarious? Just like outgoing, jovial, charismatic. I guess I don't feel like I don't have Riz. Whatever that quality is. I think I have maybe too much of a fear of being like unliked or something like that. I just maybe assume that I don't know. I mean, I don't assume people don't like me, but I just don't, I don't know. I don't like to be I don't like to be imposing. And I think people with lots of Riz just assume people like love having them in there, and that gives them the freedom to sort of riff and be a strong presence in a room, you know? I feel like a lot of stand-up comedians are like that because they're so used to performing. They've got Riz. Does Jesus 2 have Riz? Does Jesus 2 have Riz? He's got Aura. I don't know if he has Riz. Those are different things, right? Aura and Riz are different. Autism Riz is a thing, but I think it's mainly the passionate info dumping. I think David Chappelle definitely has Riz, or else he wouldn't be as famous as he is. I don't think you can become a super famous public persona without having Riz. Jesus 2 is Riz just being himself. Have you guys watched the interview? Come on, people. Maybe Steve Little has Riz. All right, so I've painted out all the black lines. Hard part is done. Paint over. And now we're going to do a boil 1. And then all I gotta do is trace the lines here, and I'll have my boil. How do you do all this on MS Paint? I've never used MS Paint, so I don't know. Okay. Oops. Big Les show was animated on MS Paint. I watched a few episodes of Big Les show. It's pretty good, but I haven't seen all of it. I had a friend who kept being like, "You gotta watch Big Les." So I did watch some of it. Alright, I'm gonna do the eyes on a separate layer. So I gotta remember to draw everything except for the eyes. Can I recommend you a song? It's called Symposium by a band called Suckle. Maybe you'd like it kind of visually or thematically. What's it sound like? If you say prog rock, I'll put it on. Use like a plugin for the stabilization, or your hands that steady? Right now I'm just raw dogging it. I don't think, no, I don't have any smoothing on. My hands are not steady, actually. I have like kind of like a worrisome tremor in my hand sometimes. Especially when I'm lettering. But today my hand is being very cooperative, so. And I also turn the screen in a way that makes it easy for me to do a clean stroke, you know. Yeah, a lot of my lines kind of look like Charles Schultz sometimes when I'm inking. The peanuts wobble. But today my hand is being very cooperative. For whatever reason. I'm not complaining. Do you do hand exercises? No. What kind of hand exercises can you do to develop a steady hand? I know Penn uses like a like you've got a big donut that goes on your Cintiq pen or whatever. I think that helps steady your hand. Iron pills and shrimp. Shrimp. I've heard you talk about shrimp before, Bafana. I guess this is going to take a little while, huh? That's all right. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the water boil or not. Probably not. That seems like that's gonna be way too much work. I'd be sick if there's an auto boil in Photoshop. I don't think there is though, but I could be wrong. Somebody let me know if there's an auto boil in Photoshop. What's this for again? This is just like I'm making promotional material for my book. So I'm just making these like animated frames of comics panels because I've got nothing else to do right now. Just logjam at a logjam impasse with my all my animation projects. I'm just like waiting around for stuff. Pretty much. So why not animate some panels for my comic for social media? But why not? It's kind of fun. It's nice to like curate an image to music and just try to like let an image speak for its, well, not speak for itself, but let an image like sort of like imply a larger story. I'm scared of the poop sacks? What poop sacks? Where? Where are the poop sacks? Your own poop sacks? Spider poop sacks? One downside to drawing digitally is that I'm having to save my work more frequently in case the program crashes. True. I haven't saved this project at all yet. Still. I'll do it as soon as I'm done this head. I believe in my machine. Okay. Let's save it. Save as. This will be Themis and Cain. Oh, what PDF file? File save as PSD. Themis and Cain. And then we put in the animated panels. Save. I find it hard to trust spiders because you don't know where they've been. I like spiders. I feel like spiders are nature's vacuum cleaners. Of other bugs. You just bought a gaming PC. Congrats. How expensive were those hard drives? Drawing in Blender renders, nice. I have a bunch of cobwebs in here I probably need to do something about. Up on my ceiling. I should brush them down. It's starting to turn it's starting to get Halloweeny in here. House centipedes are no good. That's no good. That's a one step beyond my insect tolerance. 4.5K altogether. Shit. I hope you're set for the next 10 years. I've gone to war with some house centipedes for sure. Turns into all out battle. It's me or them. I've got zero tolerance. House centipedes. Okay. Spiders are only problematic when they hang out in the shower. I like seeing spiders in the shower. It's like I don't know. I just think it's cool. It's like being at a spa with your friend. Huntsman spiders are very common in my house, and they're chill, but it gives me a heart attack when they run at you for no reason. Okay, spider running at me, I'm not about that. If they mind their own business, I'm like, cool, you do you, I'll do me, you know? If they're trying to run at me, that's a different story. Alright. Do you remember that one time I had a call with you and I told you I was paranoid because a centipede was around my desk and I couldn't find it? I don't remember that, but that would be bad. I had a pest in my house that it was so disturbing that I can't even talk about it because I don't even really want to recall the incident. It was so nightmarish. Yeah, it's bad. But it wasn't an insect, it was a larger pest. It was a gabagool. It was a chupacabra. Yeah, it was a Pazuzu. There was a Pazuzu in my house. While I was sleeping, it fucking crawled up on my bed, tried to kill me. Alright. So we did the first pass on the boil. I just gotta do that 2 more times. And then I gotta... and then I gotta draw the eyes blinking. So... buckle up. Because we're doing boil number 2 now. The demon from The Exorcist. They didn't really talk about Pazuzu until Exorcist 2, though. Exorcist 2 is my favorite Exorcist. I'm just being a contrarian, but... Exorcist 2 is like the dream logic Exorcist. The John Boorman Exorcist. Exorcist 2 has the best soundtrack too. Ennio Morricone. Or Ennio Morricone. Did I go to college for animation? No, I went to college for film, for live action film. I went to Temple University's film program in Philadelphia. I wanted to be a live action filmmaker. And then over the course of my getting my film degree, I realized I didn't want to be a live action filmmaker. So I got into making comic books instead. Because with comics, all you need is pen and paper to make your dreams come alive. I'm still not a good, I'm not a very good animator. I'm like a very, very mediocre animator. But I've been working with this animation company called Dynamita, who's animating my next Jesus 2 trailer thing, and I realized, you know, I'm a pretty decent storyboard artist, but my storyboards aren't super animation friendly. Like I'm not able to like fully animate my boards and stuff like that like some storyboard artists can do. But what that does is that because my boards are sort of semi-broken in a way, when the animator gets a hold of that, this is my little theory. When an animator, a good animator, gets a hold of someone's boards that are not totally like built for animation, the animator has to take a lot of like artistic license in order to make it work. So if they're a really competent animator, they'll sort of, instead of just tracing your boards, they'll like actually interpret it to work better as an animation. And so then you'll get something, in theory, you'll get something back that's better than what you would have done if you yourself as a storyboarder were a better animator. Because otherwise they just look at your fully animated storyboards and they're like, well, I guess I'll just trace this, you know? That's what we used to do on Adventure Time, because we were working with a Korean studio that were just like basically an animation farm. If you handed them in boards that were too well done, they would just trace your boards and they would put their B teams on it. So what you had to do, our little strategy was actually to do somewhat like worse boards, so that they would have to put their A team on our board, on our boards, to like interpret what we were doing and actually use like artistic you know, interpretation. So the worse our boards were, the better the animation would come out. Sometimes that wasn't always the case, but that was our little I don't know, hack, I guess, trying to make our boards vague enough that the animation team would actually have to use the brain power to think about how to animate what we were doing. Yeah, if you see like a board, like someone like, what's that guy's name? Kevin Ortiz or whatever, is that his name? The guy who did all those like Rise of the Ninja Turtle storyboards that are crazily almost basically like finished animation, super crazy action storyboards. When you look at that, there's nothing for the animators to interpret. It's all just being done for them. So either he should just animate those scenes himself, or but maybe he doesn't even trust whoever is going to be handling that scene, that he feels like he has to like completely basically animate it in the boards. I don't know. There's different ways to handle working with a overseas animation team and trying to get them to like care about your scenes and stuff. When you're on a TV show pipeline, that's just like you gotta bang them out fast kind of thing. Yeah, you're just like in a production grind mill, you know. But in an in an ideal scenario, like the storyboard artist should just be guiding the animator. The animator is the one who's actually really like bringing the character, and the acting in the boards is just a guideline to like the real animation performance, you know. So if you have a good relationship with your animators, you can put a lot more trust that they're gonna like the thing that's coming back to you from the boards is going to be better than what you imagined, you know. So the stuff I'm getting back from Dynamita right now for my Jesus 2 stuff is like looking so much better than my boards. It's really making me feel great. I'm not doing the eyes. Remember that. Reminds me of them giving Yoshinari the most important shots on the Trigger anime. Yeah. Tom... Did Tom Herbeck have to make his boards bad too? Maybe by his standards. I don't know. I'd have to ask him about that. I forget who I talked to about this, like, strategy. But it's definitely something I personally adopted later. I like started, it's not so much as doing bad, quote unquote, bad boards. It's like doing loose boards, I guess you could say. Like really, really not tying down your characters too much. And keeping all the expressions pretty loose and sketchy. The drawings can still look good, but you're giving them a lot to interpret. Or just enough to interpret that they actually have to use their like problem-solving skills to animate this character, and not just trace your stuff and have like a passive sort of just like grind it out kind of thing. I do not remember this strategy. Yeah, I don't know who I talked to about this strategy, but it definitely, I don't know who I had this conversation with, but it's definitely someone I talked to while working on Adventure Time and being like, I think when we hand in less clean boards, the animation team over at Seiram and Rough Draft actually seem to do a better job. Maybe it was Muto, I don't know. But Muto always handed in super tight boards, so I don't know. It's weird how that time period feels like yesterday, but also feels like a million years ago. And I don't remember that much. I barely remember. It's like as distant as high school is to me now, or something. This is an interesting track. It's like secretary office, slightly demented. Ever since Maduro got captured, time feels weird in the way it passes. You think Maduro's capture slowed down the timeline? You better go rescue him then. Oh Cheng is secretly a real-life commando. Schwarzenegger. Thoughts on grocery store music? Depends on the store. I always think they've got some pretty good, decent jams at Trader Joe's. When I walk into a Trader Joe's, I start bopping my head a little bit. Whoever's curating the soundtrack there is doing a decent job, I would say. It's basically like Jack FM. Oh, well, people don't live in LA, but Jack FM, when I turn on Jack FM, it's like, you know, Depeche Mode and then Warren G or something. DoorDash is doing free year of Dash Pass for college students right now. Well, too bad I'm not in college. Maybe the 5G towers are finally catching up. True. All right. Reminds me of a Pixar animator in an interview explained how purposefully inserting mistakes into the animation makes it more natural and appealing. I didn't know Pixar did that. Maybe I should go to grad school to get free DoorDash. I can fulfill my repeating nightmares of going to grad school. My recurring nightmare dream. Like heat rays that cause your eyeballs to explode or something like that. I don't know that one. I know the sound waves that make you like burn inside or some fucking shit. They make your eardrums explode. I've got those. The riot police have those. Do I ever see myself teaching a class? I've done workshops and I've done lectures and I do mentorships. I'm mentoring 2 people right now. Am I a good mentor? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'm not strict enough, to be honest. I kind of just let them get away with whatever they want. I don't know how helpful I'm being as a mentor. But I'm helping 2 kids like finish short films, make like 3 to 4 minute short films. I don't know if I'd want to teach a class, because I don't know if I want to get involved in like the bureaucracy of like academic institutions. It seems like a real shit show based on friends of mine who have teaching jobs. It just seems like a real cutthroat. I don't know. Maybe I dated someone that taught at Cal State, and it was just seemed like a nightmare to teach there and like have to deal with the faculty and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that is not something I want anything to do with. So I think I'd be more into having like a mentorship program, maybe running a residency program. I think that would be kind of cool if I had like a space where with like computer setups and stuff like that people could use, but I don't, so that's like a future dream, I guess. Rule number 1, no anime. The one person I'm mentoring right now is like pretty anime influenced, so I'm not like trying to tell people about like what style to use. It's more like I figure out what their goals are and I try to help them get towards their goals, without getting hung up on all the small stuff. I feel like that's how I'm mentoring. And if they need help with some like story problem solving stuff, I can do that too. But it's mostly like encouragement, I would say. Just being like, you could do it. No anime, please. Every high school art teacher. Yeah, when I was a kid, it was no. Stop drawing like Rob Liefeld, please. I think at this point it's impossible to tell kids not to draw anime, but I'm like, I'm actually kind of like in the camp of stop drawing anime. Like, cut it out. You can be anime influenced, but if you're just following the charts and you're just doing that like cat face eugenics indoctrination style, then I don't know, figure out your life, I guess. Get a grip. Anime is cool. I mean, I watch more anime than I watch Western cartoons, for sure. I think there's more interesting anime than there is Western animation. So, you know, I love anime. Fucking anime rocks. I just think that there's a craft to it sometimes that's obnoxious. And you need more anime outliers like Yuasa. Anime wise, I'm watching the new Ghost in the Shell right now, and it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I like it more than the original movie. Chainsaw Man was inspired by Adventure Time. I didn't know that. I mean, no rubber crumb, please, either is also maybe a good rule. Yeah, I think if I was a teacher, I'd be like, you guys, I like anime, but stop drawing fucking anime. Make up your own style, you fucking bitches. That's what I was saying, class. Then maybe I get fired. So that's why I don't want to be a teacher, I guess. All right. So I gotta do one more boil here. Boil 3. If you draw anime during class, that's 20 push-ups. That's probably a good rule. Also, 20 push-ups from mentioning something is your OC, maybe. I don't know. I do a portfolio review every year for like high school kids trying to go to applied art schools, and there's a lot of that anime OC stuff. But a lot of the kids are super talented. It's like one of those things. I try not to judge too much because it's not my culture. I'm not deep in it, and I grew up in a different context, so it really doesn't feel like it's my place to try to like enforce my old ideologies on people. Like, I have my way of doing things, and maybe my way of doing things will swing back at some point, but it's not my decision when that happens. It's like the kids' decisions. The zeitgeist of the kids has to change naturally. It's never up to the adults. They have to decide that like making a distinction between fan art and OCs is like a whack thing. And that treating character design as a craft is also whack. It's not like a paint by numbers thing. Like, if you get these proportions right, you're like drawing, you can draw good, is such a whack concept. But to me, I always have to remind myself, to me it's a whack concept, but not to everybody else. I think Rob Liefeld was super influenced by Akira for sure. His stuff is super anime coded, actually, but it just comes out weird because he's also influenced by Jack Kirby and stuff like that. I mean, everything is influenced by anime now. You can't. I'm influenced by anime. Like everything isn't. There's nothing that isn't influenced by anime. So, I think influence is one thing, but then straight up just trying to be a clone of something, or being the best at being the same, is the problem. It's not a problem to be influenced by something. The problem is trying to be the same, and being the best at the craft of being the same. I think that's the problem I have. Like where everyone's making the same taco using the same taco ingredients, and then someone just is like, I'm the best at using these same ingredients. But they don't have the imagination to mix in other ingredients, because that would like go against the tradition of the thing, you know? People who are like have drunk the Kool-Aid on that someone else's design sensibilities will always be superior to your own, and all you should be obligated, all you should do as an artist is be the best at cloning someone else's design sensibilities. And that's like an inferiority complex, and also like a fear of failure, that like fear of failure makes for like clone art clones, you know, because you go with a thing that's already succeeded and you don't try to find your own path. That's not to say you can't be influenced by stuff, because no one in the world isn't influenced by things, you know. You have to be willing to take a risk to be different. You can't just put a different hair color on an anime template and say that's your OC. That's fucking stupid. Be like, oh, check out this ribbon, this unique ribbon I put on my anime template. This is my character. They've got like an insane lore or whatever. I want gummy bear falafel, gummy bear tacos, yeah. Yeah, if you're a real artist, you have to take risks. You have to be willing to fail in front of other people. You have to be willing for people not to give a shit about your way of doing things. This is a motion comic I'm working on, just for funsies. Rat McLovin. Oh, Rat McLovin's here. Hey, what's up? Boy, I thought I could bang this out in like a half hour, but it's almost 2 hours now. Well, it is what it is. My favorite movie yesterday was this documentary called Afternoons of Solitude. If it was about a bullfighter, and it did such a great job of involving the viewer in the fatality of that whole situation. Lancelot du Lac. I've only seen scenes from Lancelot du Lac. And then after this, I have to do the blinkies. Was it because of Dash Shaw? To see Lancelot du Lac, or whatever? No, I don't think so. I think I saw like clips of it around. I don't know. There's a couple really interesting looking Arthurian movies. That are French. And like really sort of like glacial, which isn't really my thing. Beautiful but glacial is sort of a thing I don't have much tolerance for anymore. Dash Shaw loves that stuff. He loves glacial films. I was talking to him about it today, about Terry Gilliam versus this one Polish filmmaker, I forget his name. A guy who made War of the Worlds, not the American one, but the one about sort of riffing on like 1984 kind of. Kieslowski, yeah, Kieslowski. Yeah, Romer's Percival. I definitely prefer. I'm just like a meathead American filmmaking enjoyer, you know. I like John Borman's Excalibur, or definitely over Percival, even though Percival has like beautiful shots. I don't care. Who gives a fuck about beautiful shots? I want to be entertained, bro. Yeah, and Kieslowski, he was saying like Kieslowski is the superior Terry Gilliam, and Terry Gilliam got all his ideas from him. And the dude that directed On the Silver Globe or whatever. And I'm like Terry Gilliam all day. Give me Time Bandits. Give me Brazil. Give me Baron Munchausen. Why is this guy saving this boy? Why are they in the water? I need to know more. Only if there was a book with more content. I know. If only there was. Oh, wait. There is a book coming out with these images in them. It's available through Fantagraphics. I'm excited to see this boil in about 2 minutes. Oh, so Suzulkin? Thanks, Rat. Funny you should mention Gilliam because I just watched his other film, The Fisher King, a few days ago, and it was so good. Yeah, Fisher King. I mean, I haven't seen Fisher King probably since the early 2000s, but my memory is that that movie rocks. Okay. I haven't done the eyeballs yet, but save our work. Alright, so then open up the timeline. Boil 2. Boil 3. And then there it is. Look at that fucking boil. Tarkovsky loved Terminator but hated Possession. Possession is screening in LA soon at Vidiots. I've still never seen Possession. I don't know if I could handle seeing Possession in a theater. I could see Possession being too like hysterical for Tarkovsky based on the trailers I've seen. Yeah, I'm sure it's really good, but I don't know. I'm like afraid to watch it. It's one of those like psychological horror movies that I feel like it's gonna fuck with me too much. I'm a sensitive lad, you know? It's not as bad as Antichrist, but how much is it? How much less bad is it than Antichrist? This is what I want to know. I still haven't sat through all of On the Silver Globe, so I feel like I need to watch that first. Much less bad. Alright, so now we got the boil, so I can get rid of these frames, because if you have more than one frame and you keep adding layers, shit gets all fucked up. So, like, OK Titus said, I might want to expand the top so that it whatever, I don't need to do that because I can just make it fit for the in CapCut. I can just make it fit for the scene, for the ratio. Okay, so now I just gotta do blinks. So we're gonna call this blink 1. On the Silver Globe is rougher, in your opinion, than Possession? I've never heard that. I've always heard On the Silver Globe is like a psychedelic sci-fi, like, you know, cool film or whatever. Link 2. Linky for 3. Yeah, I don't think I could watch Deliverance again, but I'm glad I watched it. 1, 2, 3. Exorcist 2 is more brutal for you than Possession. Exorcist 2 is like a beautiful, surreal dreams movie. I don't know even what's disturbing about it, but that's interesting. Just gotta do one more blink. Blink 4. Jesse, I'm a meathead. 2 seconds later, I'm sensitive. Well, what I mean by I'm sensitive is that, like, I'm a meathead in that, like, I don't want to watch boring stuff. I want to be entertained, and I think that sort of makes me like a meathead, cinema enthusiast. But I'm sensitive in that, like, I have a hard time with sort of disturbing stuff. And I have a hard time watching like horror movies and stuff. Even though I really like some horror movies, but okay. Oops, I gotta do this up here. All right. All right. Let's do... We're going to do boil 1, boil 2, boil 3. And then we'll take these and we'll duplicate. Duplicate. What is this? How many seconds is this? Duplicate. Okay. Two. It's about 2 seconds. So we'll do like 4 seconds before our blink happens. And then I've never even tried to watch Chainsaw Massacre. But I do wonder, is art supposed to be entertainment? As an artist, I sort of understand it, but I also believe in art as a means of expressing something you feel is true. I don't think art has to be entertainment. But I guess like I'm sort of pedestrian in that way, in that I want to be entertained. If I feel bored, I'm just like not into it. Yeah, I just want to be... But like, what is entertaining is like a wide spectrum. I don't know. I mean, there's art, there's like installation art. I've gone to, you know, whatever, performance art that's been super boring. I don't know. I'm just like, don't... Some people get a lot out of it. I don't get anything out of it. I guess our definition of entertainment is different. Yeah. I need to be like engaged. I want to feel like I'm getting something. Like if I feel like I'm in a... I have a pet peeve where if someone's talking to me and I feel like they're talking at me and it doesn't matter if I'm there or not, I get like pretty triggered by that, actually. And so for me, that's the same as someone making art and expecting me to engage with it. If I feel like they're just having a conversation with themselves and there's nothing I can get from it as a spectator or audience member, like, okay, for example, someone who was talking strictly to themselves, it seems like, was like Henry Darger. But when I look at Henry Darger's work, it transcends the like self-talk, navel-gazing into being something that I'm really impressed and entertained by. So it's like I'm having a peek into a person's world where they were incapable of communicating to other people. But maybe the desire to communicate was there, and I'm getting a lot out of experiencing their art. Whereas Fletcher Hanks, is an outside artist who I believe was trying to communicate with people. So otherwise, why would he be making a comic strip? I think inherently making a comic strip is like trying to communicate with other people. Like I get really triggered when people, even like in my Discord and stuff like that, are just speaking in riddles and shit. Nothing bothers me more than someone like talking to me but speaking their own language of like under the bridge riddle troll, you know? And I'm like, you're having a conversation and you're treating me like an NPC in your story, and I don't like that. I don't enjoy that, and it's like a very like selfish pursuit to communicate to other people as if they're NPCs in your story. No, Ocheng, you don't speak to me in riddles. And you actually like remember things I've said and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but I've had like people over the years who like to speak in cryptic, as if like I'm going to be impressed by their like cryptic communication style, and I'm like, no, you're just like using me. I'm like a tool in your experience. I'm a fucking toy in your experience of like throwing your ideas at people without considering whether or not you're in conversation with them. It's basically I view it as a form of abuse. Like it's a form of using someone without their consent, you know. In the lowest level of like what abuse might be, but like it's in, I consider as a part of that family, and I have like really low threshold of tolerance for it. I was a Riddler in the forming comments. Well, you know, you're there were a lot of Riddlers in the forming comments. But I think what that is like we've all been there once or twice, yeah. I don't want to come down too hard. But it is a thing where, especially I think if you're making stories that are sort of like more like revolve around esoteric ideas, there is a certain sort of like hidden knowledge aspect to that, like decoding the riddle kind of thing, and so that attracts a certain sort of mind that wants to maybe speak in riddles and speak in coded language, almost like an initiation kind of thing. And even though I'm like interested in decoding symbols and meaning, I'm like a straight shooter when it comes to conversation. So when I talk to someone, I like to be on their level, and I like them to be on my level, so that we can have actually like a real genuine human exchange. And that's why for me the riddle thing is hard to deal with, because I want to have real connection, and then we can both like crack the riddle together. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not against riddles, I'm not against mysteries, but I like cooperation between people. Like I like feeling like I'm cooperating with another person. Yeah, I don't like being treated like a pawn in someone else's story, for sure. That fucking drives me crazy. Yeah, cooperation, yeah. Yeah, I think it has to do with like feeling included. Like it's the same as like the lunchroom table thing, you know, the cool kids at the lunchroom table. And I get like when you're reaching out to someone, sometimes you want to impress them and you want to come across like with aura, having aura and mystery or whatever. But for me, the thing that catches my interest is when someone's being genuine. I want a dialogue, not a monologue, for sure. Yeah. I've always felt that way about whenever I've like met people that I look up to and stuff. I just want to have like a real conversation, you know. I don't want to have to put on a persona to feel like I'm impressing someone else. But there were a lot of Riddlers in the forming comment section, and that like as a mass sort of like scroll of like comment back when the comments were really like popping off in the forming comment section, seeing all the Riddlers in there was like a sort of charming thing, because you're like, I'm like, okay, I'm like attracting a certain sort of audience of people who think really hard about some of the subject matter I'm dealing with, you know. So it's not all negative, but I think it's okay to post a Riddler comment. It's okay to post a Riddler comment, but then if you actually want me to respond, because I can't decode the riddle, like I'm not going to be able to, you know. Yeah, okay, so this is a new thing, riddle maxing. Riddle maxing versus Joker max. What do you call it? Joker maxing? Wait, no. What is it? Is it Joker maxing? What is the thing where you're being a goofball? There's looks maxing. Jester maxing. So there's looks maxing, Jester maxing, and then Riddler maxing. I was thinking about this new thing that's because I'm back on Instagram for the past week, and the thing that always like crushes my soul, and one of the reasons why I quit for 2 years or however long, was looking at a post and then looking at all the comments of like people that are like think it's their obligation to, well, actually whatever's going on in the post, you know, actually this is really bad for the environment, blah blah blah, you know. So I was thinking about like a name for the people that, well, actually in comments all the time, because I think that they're like a burden on society. Like these people are should be like banned from social media. I said, well, actually on Reddit constantly. Oh fuck. Oh, you see that? You see that? Yeah, well, actually is a fucking plague. It's like people look at something and then look for a reason to play devil's advocate to the thing, you know, and find some like sort of problem with it. So there should be like a slur or something, some sort of a, there should be like a naming convention to shame these people off the internet. Well, actually, people, maybe. Because this shit hurts my brain. I like you see a puppy video, like a cute puppy video, and someone's gonna, well, actually, the fucking puppy, you know? So I just try not to look at comments. But yeah. Yeah, it's like they don't. They're just like they're like what do you call it? Contributing to the like the Fugazi. Yeah. Are we jesters? I'm not a jester. I wish I was, man. I really need to like increase my jester qualities. I need to go to jester school, I think. I think I'm too serious. I need to jester it up a little bit. Got a good sense of humor. Yeah, well, all right. Well, I have a sense of humor, but it's not like in the jester style. And I think the jester style, the Willy Wonka style, is like what increases a certain aspect of charisma, of riz. So if I try to like lean into more Willy Wonka style, I'd have more riz. But I just I'm too self-conscious to be like a fucking Willy Wonka jester maxer. It also looks like a giant baby because of Glen Keane, not because Disney is selling toys and thinks you're stupid. Guy with swollen post-cry eyes. Glen Keane inspired Elsa's character design. I could see that for sure. It's like a combo. It's like a combo of Glen Keane and anime. Yeah, I just don't know how to turn on the jester sometimes when I'm in like social situations. I can't jester max when I should be. All right, I gotta put this blank in here. Okay. So then we're gonna go 2 frames with a blink 2, I think. No, we're gonna go 1 frame, blink 2, 1 frame, blink 3, 1 frame, blink 4, 1 frame, blink 3, and then I think I'll skip back to fully open without the in between. Well, let's see what it did. 1 frame, blink 2. I'll just make it even and see what happens. It's too slow. I think that middle frame has to be like 0 frames. So, this one. So we'll make that 0 no frames. Let's see what that does. And then no frames. Hey, Raph. All right, let's see. Oh, it's still kind of too slow. I've never really like. Maybe I'm just putting too many poses in this blank. All right. So let me just take out this one. So trash it. Maybe I'll leave it in on the way up though. Let's see. That's better. There's a Twilight Zone episode Steven Spielberg did where this bad comedian wishes everyone finds him to be the funniest, but then he gets miserable. I think I've seen that one. All right, save it. All right, let's export the movie because the movie is never the same fucking speed for some reason. Let's see, export, render video. Maybe if I put it at 30 frames per second, that's why I'm having problems. Demus and Cain. Render. Dimensions or frame rate are too large. Okay. Let's go. 1920. Oh wait, maybe it's the frame rate. So we got 24. Render. Okay, let me do it at 24. This is probably completely off topic, but I'm still haunted by my boss with zero irony saying that Boy and the Heron sucked and that Willy Wonka with Timmy Chalamet or whatever was a better movie. That's really triggering. That's hard to hear. That Timothy Chalamet movie, Willy Wonka movie is truly heinous. Like just a assault on and any good sensibilities a person could possibly have. It's just a total attack. Personal attack. I take that movie personally as a personal attack on me. I would spit in that guy's face. Someone said that shit to me. I mean, it's like, go crawl back in your hole, bro. Just fucking. You're not allowed to talk for the next year. Okay, that fucking movie sucks. That movie made it hard for me to watch other Timothy Chalamet movies because I knew he was willing to do that. Um, it made it hard to enjoy Dune, and um, I know he's a good actor, but he was willing to do that, and that's sick. Okay, where did I export this video to? Let's see if this timing came out okay. Let's see, forming book tour, exports animated panels. There we go. Open with QuickTime here. All right, let's see how this came out. What's going on there? Yeah, it's like holding on that one frame for too long. That's weird. So these things happen. All right, let's see what's happening here. Duh, 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 duh. Why is this chunking? 0.1 second. All right, maybe I'll make this no delay. Let's see what happens. All right, we'll try it again. Export, render, render. I want to hear your thoughts on about figure collecting. I don't really have thoughts on figure collecting. I think making figures can be really cool art form. It's like 3D sculpture. It's like sculpture, but more lowbrow. I think it's cool. Da, 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 da. Hugh Laurie. I like Hugh Laurie too. Okay, let's see. Loomis and Kane. Right, let's see if we have that same problem here. Oh, that might have been a problem with just the QuickTime loop. I think it's just QuickTime having a hard time starting it. But anyway, I think this looks pretty good. It's not a perfect blink, but it's Photoshop. Word. All right. Maxwell Adams once said on a stream that the paint Warhammer 40K figures during that he was painting Warhammer 40K figures during COVID. Yeah, Phil Rinda was painting Warhammer 40K figures. I was trying to get my dad to do it, but he wasn't interested. The one Oompa Loompa was the worst part. I didn't watch it. I've only seen one scene from the Wonka movie, which is let me see. Wonka Chalamet song. Is it? I think it's called For a Moment. Let's see. Yeah, this is this. This will get me demonetized, but this is like the most egregious, hateful thing. In just about any movie.
For a moment, I kind of forgot to be sad. He turns night to day, but don't get carried away. Never let down your guard, let them into your heart for a moment. Not for a moment.
I got it, Noodle. Listen to this. Noodle, noodle, apple strudel. Some people don't and some people doodle. Snakes, flamingos, bears, and poodles. Singing this song will improve your moodle. Noodle-dee-dee, noodle-dee-dum. We're having oodles and oodles of fun. Thanks, Abigail.
For a moment,
Noodle, noodle,
my life
apple
has turned
strudel.
upside
Some
down.
people don't and some people
For a
doodle. Snakes,
moment,
flamingos,
I
bears,
can't keep my
and
feet on the
poodles. Singing this
ground.
song will improve your mood.
He's the
Noodle-dee-dee, noodle-dee-dum. We're having oodles and oodles of fun.
Anyway. Sort of stuff. If I was Timothy Chalamet, I'd be trying to erase this film from history. But he agreed to be in this fucking movie. So that says something about him. Just saying. Anyway, that's probably one of my least favorite pieces of media of all time. Ugh, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Oodle doodles. Whatever. I guess you could blame the song. I mean, I've worked on stuff, you know, I've worked on things I'm embarrassed about, you know? I've like worked on some cartoons I'm not proud of. Sometimes you just need to check, you know? So it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta collect your bag. I don't know. I think Timothy Chalamet was doing all right, though. I don't think he needed to do this Wonka movie. Well, next time I see him, I'll ask him about it. I'll be like, "Why'd you do that? Why were you in that movie? Why'd you sing the Oodle Doodle song?" All right, I'm gonna go play Binding of Isaac. Yeah, I'm buddies with his little brother. Just kidding. I don't know Timothy Chalamet. All right, good night, everybody. Bye.